you agree that maintaining high ethical standards in newspapers costs money?
No, I don't. I agree that failure to maintain ethical standards can be immensely expensive, as I'm here witness of today.
That's certainly true. We'll come to that. But in order to have proper systems in place internally to ensure that ethical standards are installed in the first place and then maintained and preserved, there is a commercial cost, isn't there?
No, we have compliance officers. We have more now as a result of this. But the cost is, even though they're highly paid people and distinguished lawyers, it's peanuts compared to what this whole scandal inquiry has cost us. I mean, I'm talking now hundreds of millions.
Now, to put to you a point Mr. Andrew Neil said in an interview he gave to CNN, and just see your reaction, please, Mr. Murdoch. Said this: of course, Rupert Murdoch can't be held responsible for every individual act, just as when I was editor of the Sunday Times, I couldn't be held responsible for every individual act that my tens of scores of journalists would take. But you create a climate in which people think it's all right to do certain things. And I would argue that Rupert Murdoch, with his take-no-prisoners attitude to tabloid journalism, the end will justify the means, do whatever it takes, that created the kind of newsroom climate in which hacking and other things were done with impunity on an industrial scale. Is he right or wrong?
I don't think he knows the first thing he's talking about. I would say, at the beginning of that quote, that I may not be able to know what every journalist is writing, but it is certainly the duty of the editor to take responsibility for every word in his newspaper. It's harder for someone, the chairman of a company, of a lot of newspapers. That's by way of explanation, not excuse.
Corporate journalism can be very difficult.
To the second part of the quote about the, I suppose...
Mr. Neil seems to have found it very profitable to get up and spread lies about me, but that's his business. I mean, several people that goes for now. It's somewhat of an industry, which I hope this inquiry has done a lot yesterday to dispel a lot of those myths. We have given you hard, written, third-party evidence to show that a lot of these are just myths.
Is not the ethical tone of a newspaper or group of newspapers set by the chairman, particularly if the chairman has been there for decades?
Well, I hope I've had that effect. For the most part, we employ 6,000 journalists around the world. As a result of this hacking, we've not only spent hundreds of millions here, we've been through every email, every check possible.
Mr. Murdoch, may I ask you about your attitude to self-regulation? Although this was some years ago now. We had some evidence from Mr. Piers Morgan, the time when he was editing the News of the World, which was, I think, in 1994 and 1995. What happened was that the Press Complaints Commission upheld a complaint by Earl Spencer over private photographs of his wife. Publicly, you supported the Press Complaints Commission and upbraided Mr. Morgan. Yet Mr. Morgan's diaries say, 22nd of May 1995, that you called him into your office and said this: "I'm sorry about all that press complaining thingamajig." Did you say that?
No.
Did you say anything like that?
I might have said, look, I still have confidence in you as editor. Let's put that behind us. Let's remember it, but get on with it.
He also has you saying, "We had to deal with it the way we did, or they'd have all been banging on about a privacy law again. We don't need that right now." Might you have said that?
I don't think so. Generally, I don't believe in a privacy law, but we discussed privacy yesterday. I think it's there. Privacy laws are always proposed for the protection of the great and the good, and not for the mass people who make up our democracy.